They're saying no sound on him. They're saying no sound on him. They're saying no sound on him. Check now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Try it. No sound from Rocky.
Rocky, you have to learn sign language.
I think we all know enough.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Only catch key words and repeating them. I'd say turn YouTube off, see what happens. We can always, it's gonna download there anyway. AJ, it's stuck on repeat. I hear everyone now. Gorley Will just said, I hear everyone now. Let's give it another.
Nope, didn't work.
Oh, this one out again.
Uh,
When it-
They're saying they can't hear you. They're saying they can't hear you.
Okay.
That's
Now they can hear me.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Here we go. I think we're good. I see it now, I think. So they should be able to hear me. Check, check, check. Can everybody hear everybody? You guys can hear me on the panel?
We can
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah, we've never had a problem.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm getting some messages here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can hear other members, but they cut in and out.
Say that again, Mike.
He said I could. Oh, they got it. It's working. Got it.
Okay, good, good.
That's AJ.
Man, guys, one of these days I'm going to get good at this, but until then, I'll stick to trying to be good at concrete. Okay, so
Much better. Yes, it's good. I think we're good, Rocky.
okay, let's do this again, guys. Welcome to CESYK Live. I'm getting good at doing double intros. That's good, anyway. So tonight we're gonna pick your brain. You tell us what you want to hear about. We're gonna kind of do some shop talk. We're gonna talk to these guys, get to know the panel that we have been addressing the whole 1L issue with. And tonight we're gonna keep it a little bit lighthearted. We're gonna shop talk, like I said, maybe make fun of each other a little bit. We're gonna get into some job site kind of conversation. So you guys shoot your comments in the section here, the comments section below. We'll try to address them best we can. Even if it's 1L, you're still kind of hung up. You still have some questions. Go ahead and shoot them in. We'll address those as well. So we're going to kind of get into it tonight. We'll go through the members here on the panel. As always, my friend Mike Griffin. How are you tonight, Mike?
What's up, guys? I'm good.
You guys, you know that the group is all based on this man. I'm going to tell you, it would not go down the way that it does without him. So we're grateful to have you here. To my other side here, Mr. Zeb Neese, another returning member of the panel here. Zeb, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well tonight. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good.
It's,
Great.
I'm looking forward to kind of doing some shop talk. We've been able to hang out on the job site a little
Absolutely.
bit, so I know
Looking
your
forward.
nature and stuff. So it'll be good fun. Down below, just below him, there, Mr. Jason Proctor. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight too, my friend. A wealth of knowledge, so it'll be fun to cut up a little bit. How are you?
I'm doing great. I love cutting up. We've been quite formal for quite a while, and we're concrete guys through and through. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm
Sure.
looking forward to it.
Zach there in the middle. Zach, how are you, man? It's going to be fun also to be able to maybe see a lighter side of you. I don't know that your guys maybe see that too often, but hopefully we can get some of that tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to say they do, but probably not as often as they should. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
Sure. And then to his side there, another one who has a good personality of having a chipper attitude on the job site, Mr. Steve Lloyd. How are you, buddy?
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Now, you're right. I do have a attitude. I don't know how chipper it is.
But hey, your product speaks for itself though, so it must be working, man.
Yeah.
We'll go just below him there, Mr. Sam K. How are you, buddy? Sam,
What's
the
up,
wealth
guys?
of knowledge, man. You come into this with all kinds of knowledge and experience too, and you've kind of been absent from the past couple casts, so it'd be good to have you in tonight. And we really like your sense of humor, so it's going to be fun tonight to have you in.
Outstanding. And I've seen Zach's sense of humor. I've seen it live. It is there. It happens.
All right, good. And then the last, but definitely not least, Mr. Jason Beachy, another returning member. It'd be fun to kind of get him to lighten up here tonight because I know he's really into the concrete world and he's serious about it. So we'll get him to smile a little bit. Jason, how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Rocky.
Good to have you. So
Glad to be here.
Mike, should we just get into some questions, or are there any in the comments yet?
I don't see anything in the comments yet. I am keeping an eye on them, but I took. I know you have. I did catch some in the comment section of some posts in the last couple of days. If you wanted to start off on them,
I do like the number one that you sent me. If you want to read that one off, the mistakes when you were younger.
Oh, you want to start there? Oh my gosh!
Or I can just shoot that. So let's just do that, and then you can you fire off the next one, Mike. I'll start with this one. So we'll just kind of start at the top. We'll start here, Zeb. I'll shoot this one at you right now. And so, what's the biggest mistakes you see that younger finishers are making, and not just technique, but also in terms of the way they're approaching the concrete industry in general?
I didn't really give this one much thought, but something that comes to mind with me is maybe being overconfident. Having some young guys come in, maybe with an attitude of, because maybe they've done a couple of things and they've been successful at it, and they can kind of get overconfident, and when something does go south, they don't know how to handle that.
Sure.
And so I'm just the type of guy. I just assume stay humble. We're always learning. Yeah, we should be confident in our skill and what we do, but maybe just always be teachable. Always be prepared for whatever situation comes our way, because it can change instantly. I mean, we all know that. It don't. We can go. I never want to go to a job site and go in the mindset, oh, this is gonna be an easy day. Because what happens when you do that? It's
Yeah.
you eat your words. So
Yeah.
I just I don't know, maybe just not be overly confident maybe in it when you're green and young and still learning,
Sure. Don't get too cocky. You can just, I mean,
Yep.
put it that way. It's
Right.
you got to come in humble. Steve, what are
Yeah.
you doing with the younger guys? How's that coming through you?
Rock, I just want them to take pride in what they do, be proud of what they do, and try to be the best they can be. And you know, don't take it the wrong way if an old guy like myself or somebody tries to help you.
Mm-hmm.
We're not getting on you, so to speak. We're just trying to make you the best you can be. So I think just always listen to what people have to say. I mean, I'm a sponge. I listen to these guys on this panel and soak up so much stuff. I'm learning every single day. So I think learn your trade and do it well, and you can go anywhere in this country and go to work. Take your tools and go wherever you want to go.
I remember something my old man told me when I was young on the job site. He said, "Don't listen to the way people say things. Listen to what they're saying." And I kind of always stuck with me. He said, because on the job site, the way they say it is going to change by the minute. He said, just listen to what they're saying. I'm like, okay. Just one of those things that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Yep. Zach, what about you? What are you seeing the young guys mess up?
I mean, what Steve said kind of rings true for us too. We want them to take pride in it. So I tell our guys all the time, if you're not at the end of the day posting on your Snapchat or on your TikTok what you did for the day, then you're not proud enough of it. We'll pay you for that 10 or 15 minutes to take the perfect picture of what you're proud of.
Sure.
That's something that a lot of guys, it's a race to the top becoming a finisher, right? Those guys want to make the most. But there's a lot of baby steps along the way that if you learn them the right way, you can go anywhere in the world and get a job in concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Good info. Good. Jason?
So there's one thing that the most recent generation struggles the most with, in my opinion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on this panel, even Jason, being as young as he is, he's put in a lot of time, right? And I want guys to stop thinking that they deserve something for the couple of years that they put in, right? Like, I know it's the now generation, but like you got to earn it. We spent years and years and years on our hands and knees before we could run a walk behind, right? Years on a walk behind before we could run a rider. Years finishing before we could run a project, right? However you want to look at it. But we put in the time. And so I think the number one mistake is that all the new guys come out and there's a sense of entitlement. There's a sense of, I should be there now. I'm smarter than you. Okay. But there's some trials and tribulations that you have to go through to get to the level that I would consider being able to call yourself a master, right? So there's masters on this board, on this group right here. And the mastery didn't come from 5 years. It didn't come from 4 years. It didn't come from 8 years. It came from a lifetime of concrete, because it's what we've lived and breathed since we were able to, right? And I think that's the biggest mistake, is that they think, well, I'll give you an example. I had an immediate boss of mine for a big corporate structured company tell me that he feels like you should be able to teach somebody the basics of place and finish in 90 days.
basics.
I told him he won't even get his wind. Like he doesn't even have the muscle memory in 90 days. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he's like, well, it's not that hard. Okay. Well, you're part of the problem, but understand that, there's years and years of this stuff here. And we don't, like Steve said, we're all humble enough to learn every single time we're on here. There's plenty of times I just sit and listen because there's so much to learn. And just stop expecting it to be a couple year thing and you're going to be rising to the top.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and all of us could teach our kids how to finish perfect concrete, right? The best finishers are determined when it's not going well.
Right.
That is when the good guys shine. Anyway, when it's a perfect day, that's easy money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the days we show up for, hoping for.
Right.
Yeah. Sam, what do you think, man, from your end? What do you think about the younger gen?
There's some of them just don't listen. You got, like they were talking earlier, you got all these old guys. I mean, yeah, they're crabby.
Sure.
They bitch a lot, whatever. But they're 99% of the time it comes out bitchy, but they're actually trying to teach the younger guys something, and the younger guys get all butthurt and whatever. That's the big one that I see out of the jobs.
Sure.
I mean, old concrete finishers are crabby, but they're pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
You should listen to them. You're just going to have to take the abuse that you're going to have to take to learn what they're trying to tell you.
Well, I think, Sam,
That we all took.
I think so. We've only got one chance to do our job.
That's right.
We've got one chance.
Yep.
We can't repaint it. We can't take a nail out and move it down the line. I mean, we got one chance. And I know I get loud a lot of times on jobs. It's just because I can't hear well. But, I mean, you have to get a point across, I'm really trying to teach these guys to be the best they can be.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Don't listen to how I say it. Listen to what I say.
Yeah, I really relate to what Cesyk just said there because, you guys some nice guy in this stream, there's a group, but man, on the job site, it's different, man. I had to forewarn people. I'm like, listen, when you're going to hear me talk, it's not going to sound very good. I go, I think I'm not going to get my point across. I said, but don't listen to how I sound. Just listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I think I intimidated some guys. I could have said good morning, and they were scared to death. But really, listen to what they're saying, especially some of these guys that you may think are grumpy old finishers. Mm-hmm. They're in work mode. And they're serious, and they might not be ready to joke yet because they got a job to do. And give them about an hour so things are going smooth and they'll lighten up a little bit. They got a little bit of stress going and it'll come across in their voice.
Yeah. Mr. Beachy,
what do you learn?
Well,
right?
Go ahead, Zach.
The lesson's going to be learned. Either we're going to teach them or the concrete's going to teach them. One of the two. It will be learned, though.
That's good. Mr. Beachy, you're a young man yourself, so not inexperienced in a young man, but so you're a little bit closer in some of that age gap. What are you seeing in just some of the years that you've been through it?
I'm not a master, so take carefully what I'm saying here. So what I see a lot on job sites, I kind of feel bad for the young generation because if you don't have a great leader, who's going to teach you greatness? Okay. A lot of these job sites don't have great leaders on them. So these young kids don't have a chance. Every now and then you get that one that is just phenomenal and he grabs the bull by the horns and he's going to achieve greatness because he's great himself. So I feel like that's kind of the only people that I see becoming great nowadays. Mm-hmm. But so I read a lot of things like, if a bodybuilder walks in a room, when somebody walks in a room that he's alpha, you can just sense it, right? And it rubs off on the whole room. So I feel like that's what we need in our field. If you want to put a team in the field that is going to continue to become great, you need a leader like that. Mm-hmm. That when he walks into the pour, when he walks into the job, eyes on him, and everybody can see the difference. But with that leader, I feel like what makes him great is he doesn't trust anything that's happening that day. He's looking at everything like it's going to screw him at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
My best finisher is one of the better finishers in the country. He's been, there's some people on the panel that know him. He says to me, I don't even trust myself. He's one of the best finishers that I've ever worked with. He says it himself. I don't even trust myself on most days. So instead of just thinking, you know what, I know how to finish this floor, he's getting out there and checking it. He's doubled and triple checking everything he's doing to be sure. And those are the things that we learn, because the people on this panel, some of these people have made over $1 million mistakes. And when we get crabby, when we get upset and the way we come across in the field, it's because we've already made that mistake and we know where it leads. So that's just, I would have loved to come up under a leader like that. That would have given me that kind of, that would have coached me like that in my younger years. I feel like that can really rub off and help the young generation if the leader is a true leader.
I love it. Definitely. Zeb,
But do you think that the young man coming through, he's got to want it too?
100%.
yeah.
He's got to want it. And you can tell.
100%.
I can tell the guys that really want it. That really want to learn. You can tell it. You can tell who's there just to get paid and who's there to learn. To me,
Two things that I see a lot out of the young people that come in. When you see a guy that wants it, he does two things. By day 2, or even by the second half of the day, you see him copying things that he just seen happen. That he's seen somebody else do. You see him copy that, and then he's also asking the right people questions all the time. If he's not asking questions and not copying things that are happening around him, he doesn't want it.
That's good.
That used to get me excited when I'd get new guys on the crew and they were asking questions. I'm like, holy shit, because when I came in, they told me, you need to just shut the fuck up and listen. And I did. I didn't have the best leaders. I took a little bit from everybody, but when as a guy who ran a crew for 25, almost 30 years, you get a guy on the crew that's asking questions, you get excited. You're like, oh yeah, you want to take them on your wing. I always say, listen, when I'm talking, I'll answer your questions time and place, but just soak everything in I'm saying, because I'm going to fast track you, and eventually I would, and the whole crew would get trained. I literally personally trained. I had a small crew, by the way, very small. Most I ever had was 8 or 9. You get excited when you got somebody who's asking questions.
100%. So we're kind of talking about the grumpy old man. Let's kind of talk about that. Zeb, can you remember the first time you took a real butt chewing on the job? Like the kind where you're like, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Well, before we started tonight, I was telling Mike, I said, when I was a kid, I'd get fired at least once, maybe twice a week from my dad. He's real, just had a high temper. I mean, he just, it'd be hot out, I'd do something stupid and wouldn't be listening to him. And, I'd get fired. And I remember early on, I came home, we just got married, Marie and I got married, and I came home early one day and she goes, why are you home so early? And I said, well, I got fired today. And she got, real nervous and really, just kind of scared. And I said, it'll be fine. And about 1 or 2 hours later, my dad calls, hey son, how's it going? And kind of said, well, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. I love you, and it's just, but I got my butt chewed out every day. Yeah. I mean, my dad was tough. I mean, he was, I always, told a story. I remember every year at the end of the year, we'd see a stack of W-2s. I mean, about a foot tall, because my dad wouldn't put up with nothing. I mean, we went through so many people, yeah. And he just, if it was his way or no way, he was not patient or long suffering with anybody. I mean, he just, that's just how he operated, good or bad or whatever, and what's funny is I see that those same traits in myself, but I see them more in my kids that I'm, the third generation I'm teaching. Yeah. I see my dad in them and how they act and react to certain situations. I'm like, oh man, that's my dad, here we go again. But no,
I get that a lot
had-
from my
I had it,
father.
yeah.
He says that you act just like your grandpa.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had it pretty tough. I had it, but I learned how to. That's the only environment I knew.
Mhm.
I never worked for anybody else. I've never experienced, but that's just how I was raised and taught, and didn't
Sure.
know any different. But it was fire by trial. I mean, and he didn't, he didn't sugarcoat nothing.
Sure.
I mean, if you messed up, you're going to hear it. You're going to deal with it, And so, that's just kind of how I was brought up.
Yeah. Mr. Proctor, I know you got a good story about leaving a butt cheek on the job somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you can't have as much snark as I do and not have that, right?
Right.
So the probably the worst one. I had a great old dog teacher, right?
Mm.
His name was Gordy. He's long past now. I remember showing up. I was only a couple of weeks in, and I went out and I bought a mag and I bought a trowel. I bought a 24-inch trowel because back then we were crawling edges 3-4 feet wide, right?
Mm.
Had a big old trowel, had a 16-inch trowel, and I bought a brand new pair of sliders, brand new. Like that's big money for a couple weeks in. I just spent $200, $300.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came in, I showed up, and he just looked at me and he goes, "What are you going to do with all that stuff today, kid?" And I said, "Well, I got to finish." He says, "No, no, 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 no. You're going to grab the pump hose and you're going to do everything I tell you to do." Okay. So I grabbed the pump hose. We got to running. A couple 100 yards later, we finally get it down, right? A dragging system all day long. I come up to him, I go, all right, where do you want me? We'll go clean the pump hose. Like, oh, come on. And so I went back up, did my thing, came back about an hour later, and he says, "Okay, get on that wall, start crawling." 10-4, right? Off I go. Crawl, 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 crawl. Well, everything he had taught me, I had forgot because I was so tired, right? I wasn't filling the edge. I was troweling the hole. I wasn't troweling 4 feet wide. I was only troweling a couple of feet wide. Like I was beat. A couple weeks in, I was beat. Yeah. He had the old claws, could barely let go of anything. Absolutely. He come walking across the slab. Yeah. He come walking across the slab, grabbed all of my stuff, including my sliders.
Walking across the slab.
Walking across the slab. Picked all of my stuff up, took it from me, broke my trowel, broke my mag, snapped my knee boards in half, and said, "You learn how to use them, you can have them. You can go get yourself another pair. Now get up and get out here." Oh yeah, no, that guy, and that's what we came up with, was just guys that wouldn't stand for it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was probably my worst one because I lost everything I had just bought. I was brand new, thinking, "What did I get myself into?"
Yeah.
Like really. But
Yep. That's good.
that was probably my worst one.
That's a good. Zach, what you got a story? I know you do.
Mine probably isn't direct. I got a pretty good one about finishing too. I learned really early on never to, especially crawling, never to leave an edge that you're going to have to follow yourself on in bad shape. I learned really, really quick on that one. But
Yeah.
we had a superintendent who's pretty notorious for a 2-finger chest poke. And I'm not the littlest guy.
Yeah.
And one day I probably deserved it. And he reared back to do his 2-finger chest poke. And I just kind of gave one of those looks. But in that moment, I never got my chest poked. But I knew that it was time for me to get my stuff together because I deserved that chest poke that I never got. But yeah, just guys like that. I mean, you were pulled out on the rug. It took you from being a man into making you a man, because there's no room to tolerate it. We're here to do a job. And I think we've talked a little bit about, the younger generation and how that's changed, but man, those guys put us through some situations that edge that I could take you to the school in Leavenworth, Kansas, where that edge was. And I had just ran a doorway. I just edged a 6-foot doorway, and he saw it and he said, "Okay, you're going to follow me now." And he ran down the expansion up against the building and rolled that edge so bad that I swear he was dragging the wire with his edger. And okay, you come behind me. Make sure it looks good when you're done. Awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna learn you real quick. Oh,
Yeah, but
that's
it's
good.
situations like that where they weren't going to pull punches.
Sure.
If you're going to hang with us, you're going to do it the right way.
They were going to throw him.
Yeah, right.
But that was not off the table either coming up.
Mm.
Like
Right.
there was plenty of fights.
100%. It wasn't nothing to drop floats and trials and swing in and then go back, pick up your floats and trials and go back.
Kind of like a hockey game fight until somebody fell down, it wasn't over.
Yeah.
Once they
And
fell
literally
down, you
go
split
right
it up
back
and
to
keep it
war
back to
with
work.
the same guys.
That's it.
Like,
and then tomorrow morning
fighting
it's
each
like
other and then
dude.
fighting the slab. Like
Yep.
I don't know which way we're going to go, but it's going to be one of the two.
Yeah. But that's it. And we'll get into this later on. We've talked about this, your why when you do this. And a lot of us are fighters at heart, and that's it's going to come out one way or another. So, Steve, let's hear your story. I know you got a good chewing story, man. If you can remember that far, Steve.
Yeah. Well, let me dig around in my brain a little bit. But the guy that taught me concrete made me so mad. I asked my wife, I said, why am I doing this? But we started out in residential stuff, we're doing basements and we wheelbarrowed everything. And I can remember one day we were getting ready to go to a blue glass festival. And so I was jacked up. I was ready to get off, and we had loaded the machines on the truck, and he told me to go back and take my knee boards and go back around the edges. Well, the floor was burnt in. I mean, solid black, but he made me crawl those edges. I mean, you couldn't leave one cat face in the floor. You better not leave a cat. It better not be one thing. And he was so anal on, especially outside work. Like, we do pool work and with a little bit of fall, and he would always take a cup of water, make sure that water, he was the best concrete finisher. He taught me to be the best I could be. I mean, he did make me pretty mad, but we were good friends too. But he put you through the test. I mean, some days they were brutal, but I'll never will forget the day though that he put me back on those edges. And I mean, the floor was completely blacked out, completely gone. And I had to go back around them again. But I mean, he made me be the best I could be.
Good. Yep. Mr. Beachy, I'm sure you've taken a good chew in a day or two in your life, especially with the tight crew you run now. So it's inevitable that you've had one. Let's hear a good story, man.
I don't really know that it really happened in the concrete industry so much. Maybe before I got into that. Just one point I would have liked to make to the people tonight is the best people in the concrete world have gone through a lot of hardships. If you don't go through hardships as a young kid, wherever growing up, maybe starting your own business, if you don't go through some kind of hardships, you probably won't become great at this trade. Because it takes a tremendous amount of grit to do what the guys on, some of you guys on this panel can do. I would say my biggest problem, I started out young in the business, so I was that mad guy, the guy that got mad at the guys. I was the guy pushing them and being hard on them. And there's probably people that could tell stories what I did to them, to my shame.
Sure.
So now I'm working on trying to be, more of a nice guy and have more humility in the day to day. You need to have a good amount of that in order to have people working for you. That generation has come and gone that can take that. So I'm working on being, not so much to that. I was kind of that guy that did it and still do, when I see, there's times that I just completely blow up because, it happens and things
because concrete.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to say it's warranted, right? But I feel like I've grown a lot in that. So, one thing that, I don't know if it helps. I was always that guy that, I was getting on people that were twice my age and telling them what to do, whatever they were working for me, and I had to kind of retrain them. That's almost impossible to do, right?
Right.
From a young guy train an old guy how you want him to work for you. So I wasn't really ever told what to do as a kid when I started my concrete business. Nobody really told me what to do. So you can get stuck in a rut of just, you know what you're doing. I'm this guy, right? I'm the boss. But you can't be that way. I like what Steve said. He's a sponge. Even now, I see Steve is much more of a sponge than I am, and it's so inspirational for me because Steve is this just tremendously decorated concrete man, but he's a sponge, and I've seen it firsthand. So that's inspirational for me. You need to be that way and become that way. And I just hope that that's the things that I can learn moving forward.
Sure.
More and more.
Sure. That's a great take. I like that. It's almost a whole different side. I really like that. Especially in today's world, we have a lot of young guys that have just kind of started their own company because there was a need for concrete guys. I know a handful of guys who started a company with no concrete experience, and they were, like you said, they were him. I'm that guy, and they never really had to go through the hardships that most of the other guys on the panel had to. So that's a really good take. I enjoy that. Thank you.
Or they didn't want to put up with the old guys' bullshit.
Yeah, there you go. That
That's
too.
true. I mean, Jason, when we were talking earlier, I was kind of thinking of you during all this. I mean, these older guys, all this a little bit older guys, and we did go through some bullshit. So really, it was bullshit. It was all learning experience. You rolled with the punches, and it did make us maybe like a little tougher skinned or whatever. But that's how we grew up, and it has changed. I mean, and it almost has to, because I remember I started running my crew at too young of an age. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are in the same position. They're too young, and you haven't got that respect yet. And I had a really good friend of mine who's on another crew. He said, "Mike, them fucking guys will do whatever you ask them to do." He goes, "But my God, you treat them like shit, man." And I did, but that's how I was taught.
Yeah.
So you learn that stuff, and it really did make me think. I'm like, these are actually my friends, and I talk, I started the cast off saying, right, I talk, it sounds rough, but I mean, it really did make me think about it. I'm like, maybe I should be a little nicer. I can still get my point across. It's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. I can still get the same results. 2 + 3 is 5, and so is 3 + 2. So as long as you get the end results is what matters, and you don't have to be a jackass. But that's just how people are taught. So it takes some learning and development on our part, especially for these young guys. I just want to say that, I was thinking of Jason when all these older guys were talking. I'm like, he's a young guy, and he's got a huge crew,
Yeah.
It's a different day and age.
Yep. Sam, you got a good
Jason's
butt.
Jason's one of the few that can still take it, though. I've given him an earful more than once when I've been on his job with him, and he's took it very well.
So is Steve, apparently, I hear too. So
yeah.
And he's still here.
Listen, guys, everything has changed. I mean, back when I started, there was no riders, it was no magic screed, it was no bull floats. I mean, we made bull floats out of redwood on a closet hanger. You'd have to push it out so far, and you'd have to stand up, and I was a short guy, so I had a real hard time pushing out so far.
Sure. Everything's
changed for the better, to give us better floors, better equipment to work with. We sit around the shop a lot of times, me and some of the older guys, and think about telling you guys, man, you wouldn't have made it 2 weeks with us. I mean, but it's really changed. I mean, it's changed for the better. Everything's it's in some of these things that I listen to these guys talk about, Sam and Zeb and all these guys, and Zach. I mean, I'm lost. I mean, I'm digging everything they say. I'm writing down, and I'm going back and I'm studying it. But they really they've got the technical. I mean, it's a lot to it. It's more than just finishing concrete. I mean, Ben Weiss has always told me, Steve, you've got to understand the chemistry. I said, well, you pour it wet and it gets hard. Ben, that's about all I can tell you. You know, this old dog, you can't. But like Jason said, I want to learn. I love to learn to be the best.
And that's crucial, and that's why your accolades are as they are. So, heck yeah, Sam, you got any good having your butt chewed stories?
Oh man, I will not mention names,
Okay.
but I'm from St. Louis. I learned concrete from the Italians. Everybody out there who knows what I'm talking about, you know.
Yep.
God, I don't even know where to start with that one. I think probably when I first started out in the ready mix a long time ago, I had one of the brothers, Sammy. It's not about making 4,000. There's more to it than that. And he took me down a path that was just ridiculous. That was like an hour long sitting out on a job site. It was actually hot. It was really hot. We were sitting in the sun, and he just kept on and on. And I was like, okay, I get it now. I get it. It's hot. Can we go inside? Can we, and it kind of started there. And then I've had two of the brother, that was the nice brother. And then there's the other brother that everybody knows. I can't even. It's just some of the things I've seen and been yelled at for.
These were concrete guys getting concrete from you. And
yeah. And he tried to fire me twice. Like he just started screaming, and it was like, "You're just fired. You're fired." Like, I don't work for you. What are you talking about, you crazy man?
Have any of you actually worked with? I mean, obviously you have the Italians. Anybody else worked with any like legit Italian concrete guys? No, there was a couple that I worked with. They were brothers, and it was intense. They were finishers, but it was intense.
Yeah. And then it was so like, God, years later, I went to work for one of them. So it's and I went to work for the one that was tried to fire me when I didn't even work for him. So there's a whole twisted, weird logic that goes on there at some point, I guess.
It all makes world.
It all makes sense at some point.
Yeah.
But I will say that everybody out there who knows who I'm talking about, and you've heard stories and you just say those can't be true, I will tell you there's a 99% chance that every story you've heard, it's true. There was some crazy stuff I witnessed over the years.
So there's some things in some concrete blocks somewhere probably that nobody knows about except them.
Oh yeah, no,
that story's real.
I've watched whole crews get fired at once and then start to walk off, and then he starts screaming, "Where the hell are you going?" So he just fired us. Get back to work.
Yeah. I'm so confused.
Man, yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. But and there's always everything was, God, it was you and your ready mix. Everything was the ready mix guy's fault. So you go onto a job site and you have an entire crew, everybody just yelling at you. This is pretty normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could absolutely be nothing to do with the ready mix that day. And, you're just taking a chewing for nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, whatever. I don't even care anymore.
We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but we'll ask it. It's one of the questions there. What habits do you think the best concrete finishers portray? What are some of the habits? And we've already kind of talked on those, resiliency and that kind of thing. So
they listen. They're open to new ideas. I've been doing this 40 years. You can't tell me nothing, guy. That just he's there. That's always the problem right there. It's the guys like Steve that God, they've been doing it forever, and they listen, and to the new ideas, and they're open to new ideas. They're not just set in their ways. You can't be that way anymore with concrete and the way the whole industry's changing with the new cements and stuff like that. It's anything that you knew 40 years ago, that ain't the same anymore anyway. The material changed. So a lot of that is out the window at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mr.
even
Beachy,
then,
what
a
goes
million yards can go down and not two of them are the same. Every single placement is different. As long as I've been doing it, I don't think I've ever had two pours that went exactly the same. And being able to roll with those punches and have that adaptability and go to war every single day. Because I mean, as a finisher, that's what you're doing. You are fighting yourself first,
right,
and concrete every single day, and you have to impose your will on it. And the guys that I've seen be the most successful adapt, and they just refuse. I'd love to say it's persistence, but we all know it's probably stupid, right? we aren't just persistent; we're borderline stupid.
Yeah. Mr. Beachy, what are you seeing in some of your best guys? Mike, we'll get to you after him then.
The two things that I talked about earlier is just, asking a lot of questions shows me that they want it. First of all, it comes from attitude, not just, you can't fake it, right? You can ask questions all day long, but if you're just faking the questions, the boss can tell, right?
Right.
So asking good questions and being open-minded. I like what Sam said there. I just can't, me and a finisher that says that you can't teach me anything anymore. I don't think we survive in the room 10 minutes.
No.
And you know what's amazing when you pour concrete is you can feel like you're losing the floor for 2 or 3 hours long. But if you just stay consistent and under control, it's amazing what can come back together. So consistency is big when you're on a floor and you're finishing a floor. These guys that don't stop, and you think, okay, that guy, it looks like that guy's barely keeping up on that edge over there. I don't think he's moving fast enough, but you just keep moving. And it's amazing what can come together because we're all guessing the timing, right? We all think we know it, but if you had an extra 5 minutes than what you guessed, guess what? You just caught up. So, I mean, staying on it, never stopping. I was taught from a couple of guys, like once you start finishing, especially once it's time for blades, I don't ever want to see anybody standing around.
Good.
Never stop. So those couple things that come to my mind.
Good. Steve, what are you seeing in some of the best guys habit-wise?
Like Jason's, I mean, you never cut a machine off. I mean, back, even you get, inconsistent sets, a lot. Even when you coming through a wet load, just let your blades down, slow down a little bit, go on through it, keep going. Don't stop. That's why I see these guys want to set back on the machine and shoot the breeze and this and that, then they get behind. You got to stay. When you're chasing that floor, you're going to have your best numbers. So you should keep that machine's got to go. Your edge men, they got to go. And like you said, sometimes you get in a spot, man, I hope we will. I've never been in a spot where I really thought I was going to lose anything, but I've been in spots where I knew I had to roll. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no time for bullshitting. You had to go. You had to turn it up a notch. And because like you said, this concrete, man, it's all over the place sometimes, even more now than ever. Like Sam said, things have changed so much, even with finishing. But yeah, these guys, all in all, the guys that I've got, they will run you. I don't have to worry about running people off because they'll run them off. They'll run them off.
That's because they're actually finishers, Steve. So that's the question I got for you that I've been thinking about. And Mike, I don't want to interrupt you if you had something you wanted to say. I got one that's going to be a minute. So if you want to say something, go for it.
I'll try to keep it short. I agree with everybody here. I think there's different evaluations to between a good finisher and a great finisher. And how much value does that bring to your company? And I think you can have a good finisher, or maybe it's a great finisher, but if he's not passing that knowledge down, let's say somebody's on a scale of 1 to 10, he's a great finisher. Well, let's just say this other guy is pretty good too. He's about 7, but he keeps everybody around him. He keeps educating and spreading his knowledge and elevating other people. Now, mind you, that guy with the I rated a 10. Maybe he's one of us old dickheads.
Mm-hmm.
Is he running people off? Is he spreading his knowledge? So who's more valuable, or the term great? Who, which is great? The guy who is lifting everybody around him. He's still a good finisher. He might be a great finisher. He's a 7, but if he's elevating everybody around him, is he more valuable, or is that one guy who's a dickhead that people are scared to talk to, but he can run a machine or he can do this, but everybody else he's like an alien. So I think there's a different variable on what you want to judge. Go ahead, Steve.
Go, Steve.
I mean, I think the thing of it is we need everybody. We need, a good finisher to me is a man can use his hand tools. He's an edge man. So I'm not just talking about a machine man. Machine man, yeah, but I'm talking about a man using his hand tools. I mean, catching around drains, catching edges. That's the first thing I look at when I walk on a job. I look at the detail. I look at the craftsmanship of these guys. But we need everybody. So just because you might not call him a finisher, but to me, I call him a finisher. If he knows how to handle, I got guys that all they want to do is crawl. That's all they want to do is edges. That's all they want to do. Can they do other things? They can, and they will if they have to. But they love the edges. I got a son that loves edges.
Yeah.
I mean, he crawls all the time. He can run a machine. He's a good finisher. He's a good man. But he takes pride in the edges, and I think that's a finisher too, Mike. I mean, to me it is.
Sure.
Anybody in this trade that's dealing with this stuff, it's different types of finishers. I'm a good machine man. I'm a good pan man. I'm a combo guy. I'm a kill-out guy. I know how to run check rod. I mean, I got guys that are really some of the best broom guys, but he doesn't finish as well as he does broom. But we need everybody. We need all these guys.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Comment light towards anybody. I'm just saying. I'm just giving a different perspective. I mean, there's all kinds of great finishers out there. You might be. How do you judge great? There's different ways to judge great and that value that they bring to the table, and everybody brings value. Otherwise you won't have a good team.
Yeah. You're kind of saying, who do you find more valuable? A guy that may be a lesser finisher, but is a huge team player, as opposed to somebody who may be the best finisher you can get for your money, but could care less to even talk to anybody all day long.
I've done a lot of things in my life and poured a lot of crazy stuff. I couldn't have done it without those men. I mean, I'm telling you right now, Steve Lloyd himself could not have done what we've got some of the best people, always have.
Yep.
And, but it's the men, and they've been willing to learn, and they know my expectations. They know they don't want to listen to me at the end of the day. But seriously, it's a finisher is a real man.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I would add, or a couple things, I could probably write a book on the things that, like, my dad drilled it into me about, what separates you from being mediocre good to great, and I mean, we could spend 10 series on this. I mean, there's a lot into it, right? But just little things that I look at, and I try to teach my sons and people that are really eager to learn. And it's really just the attention to detail. It's we can all finish concrete and sell it, and it looks good. It looks good for my house, and that kind of attitude. But to really take the pride in the work, doing clean work, troweling, tight around drains and cleaning your forms off and keeping your site clean and just the little details. That's what separates, the mediocre from being great. When you're finishing floors and you can you can read a floor, you can look and see, hey, we got spotty loads here, and you learn those things. Okay, I've got to be able to know what's going on over the entire floor, And another thing about being, I think a good finisher, good team leader is to be vocal. You got to be able to communicate with your team. If you're on a rider and you're out there, you need to be able to holler at somebody, hey, we need somebody out here to get around this plumbing. You're seeing something that they don't. And so I think good communication, taking pride in your work, giving 100%. Guys, it ain't always going to go perfect. This is concrete. There's nothing perfect about it. But when we can strive to do our very best and when we walk away from there at that end of the day and we give 100%, and I mean, we did all we could do. That's what I think separates you from great, from okay, mediocre. And, but I tell you one thing, guys, every person in this earth has their own gifts and talents. There's going to be some that have it and some that won't. And that's just a fact. You rather have it or you don't. And you can train and you can learn and get better over time. But guys, I've had employees work for me 8 and 10 years. Just like Steve said, there's some guys, all they want to do is certain things, and that's perfectly fine. They're good at that.
Yeah.
You can count on them. They may never go beyond that, and that's okay. And you can't be the type of person that thinks that everybody's going to be the same. We don't, we're all different. We all have our own gifts and our own talents, and you have to work with each individual person that way.
Definitely. Mr. Proctor, what's your take on it, my friend?
Well, I'm more black and white. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve, I know, and Zeb, when you guys came up, just like I did, to carry the finisher name, to have that title, that wasn't something that, and Zach, same thing. That wasn't something that you got.
No.
You don't get that because you can drag a broom. You don't get that because you can mag an edge. You don't get that because you can do one facet, right?
Right.
And that's something that it's kind of like giving participation awards to all the guys out there. And again, I don't want to sound like that asshole, like arrogant asshole. That's not what I am. I'm just saying, like, to become a master at something, they don't. If you can drive a car phenomenally, right? You can become top of the line. But if you're mediocre, they don't give you a shot at it. You stay down where you're supposed to be, right? Well, in the trades, and I agree, we need everybody. Please don't take that the wrong way. We do, because I was excellent at using people for what they were strong at to get to act as a team. But what I think has been lost truly is that coveted, what is a finisher? Because I don't believe that it's not held as high as it should be. Finishers should, like Steve, for example, we'll just pick on Steve, like Steve, to become Steve's coveted self. He can't do one thing. I saw the man on a bulldozer yesterday grading his grandkids' dirt bike track.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he does all of it.
Yes.
And always has. And what he didn't know, he forced himself to learn or grow into. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us on the panel can say the same thing. We have coming up, I had 5 guys standing behind me waiting for me to make a mistake or not know something.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn it, and I had to be one of the best at it, or I wouldn't have a job. It was that simple. So nowadays, who's a finisher? Do you know how many warehouse guys I'd have come in for interviews that were just on a fork truck that applied for a finisher role? Do you know why? Because when it's a finisher is attached to it, there's more money attached to it, right? More money getting hired on if I call myself a finisher. Well, what do you got, right? So I just don't want to ever lose sight of that. And again, we need all of us. You're 100% right, Steve. And again, I've used and had plenty of guys with me. And instead of giving them the finisher title, I gave them a finisher capable title. And I gave them the list of stuff that they needed to learn to carry the coveted title. And the guys that covered it, the guys that had all of that stuff that could go build a wall, pour a foundation, set anchor bolts, pour sidewalk, decorative, paving, finish floors, high tolerance, right? The finishers of the world. I gave them special awards, right? Right now there's a half a dozen hoodies in Kansas City that have guys' names on them. And on the back it says, I'm a concrete finisher. I don't quit when I'm tired. I quit when I'm done.
I love it.
And I've only handed out a half a dozen to guys that are truly in that finisher category, right? I'd love for everybody to have that category. Reality is, we all, I heard a couple, Zeb, everybody was given different gifts, right? Some guys are given a gift to be really, really good at specific things, and they're super in need. But let's be real. They'll never carry a true finisher, right? Luke Skywalker didn't become a Jedi because he could lift a jet. And that's it, right? He became a Jedi because he had the rest, right?
Jason, a real finisher's got to be able to do it all.
All of it.
Amen.
Every bit of it. Sack and patch,
Yep.
rub handles.
All of it.
I mean, you've got to be able to do everything. And you're right. We need everybody. And the money comes when you can do it all. When you're that man, it's like what do we got now in certification? ACI, industrial floor finisher.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be top of the line. You know, and people come to that to get certified and they get mad because they fail, but they've never been on a rider before. Well, that's one of the things you got to be able to do.
If you can't do it, you don't fit it, right?
Well, you've seen them. They send them out there and we have to hold them on the slab so they don't run off.
Yeah, when we're circling the slab, making sure they don't come off it.
Yeah,
that's a problem, right?
But
that's not a finisher.
So
again, I don't want to. I'm not going to beat it to death, but I don't want to lose focus of that, right? The finishers out there that have worked our lives to be able to hold that title. I don't want to discredit that.
Yeah, you can't be a black belt if you've lost a whole chapter of the art and you can't profess it. So
or you can't finish things that were never started. If
Yeah.
you can't start the work, you can't finish it.
That's good.
Well, that's kind of a thing. I mean, the way I grew up, I mean, you have to be able to do it all. I'm saying from the dirt work, forming to, I mean,
all of it.
You're gonna that's being a finisher when you can do it all. Get on the dozer, the traco, get on the the total station. I mean, all the stuff that's a true finisher, right? I don't care even if it's in different trades. I worked with some asphalt guys last week, and I was looking at some things, and I was like, man, these guys, they're not finished. I mean, they're not, what I would consider they weren't finishing their job. I mean, there was stuff that was getting left behind. Yeah, it was sellable. It was good. It could be painting. It could be sheetrock. It don't matter what trade you're in. There's all those little things that there's different. It really should be different levels of finishers. I mean, and that's probably where we make a mistake. And, what we do in our company, when I hire somebody, we have a skills chart that they evaluate themselves and all these, finishing skills, forming skills, all that. We allow them to fill that out and evaluate themselves. And then we kind of use that, every quarter or whatever to go through there and I'll evaluate them. Their team will evaluate them. And it really puts it in perspective of kind of where you fall in with everybody else and where you need to grow in, what areas you need to grow in. And that's been a very helpful tool for us, to really, like I said, some of these guys will come in and they're really maybe a little overconfident, or they've done a few things good and they really think they're better than they are. Sometimes they need to really see it and even hear it from their peers, and their boss or whoever their work, their leader, whoever, to kind of let them know, hey, these are some areas I see that you need to improve in. You got the potential, you've got what it takes. If you want it, you can have it, and this is what you need to do. And so, but
hey, Don Barr's asking, of the 100 finishers, what percentage of them actually fit the master finisher title?
Ooh.
I don't know if there's 100 master finishers out there, Mike. Truthfully,
It's such a small number.
If they were, and if they are, You know, it's going to be from Zach and I's age to Steve's age.
Hmm.
And you know, let's be real, half of them probably aren't doing it anymore. You know, maybe they're still teaching.
And
But that's
some
the
of that
thing.
market
Take a hard look at this. The last guy y'all hired, how long was he at his average was he at his jobs to truly become a master?
Hmm.
3 years, 5 years, and then they're shifting and learning a new level, or they're moving to something that was easier or maybe a little more money, right? But they aren't staying with the old dogs. They're not staying with the guys. They learn enough to be a rider guy to where they can get paid a little more, and then they go jump, right?
Hmm.
The masters are loyal to a fault, right? All of us that have been on a job longer than 15 years or more, right? Or a lifetime. I've had 3 jobs in my 27 years. 3, right? 3 different companies,
That's respectable.
right? I know guys that had 3 different companies last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In 3
Yeah.
months.
There's no
Yeah.
loyalty anymore in
Yeah.
our employees. They just like you said,
No.
there's no loyalty. It's not like it used to be, and that's a perfect example of, you know, when you see those back in the old days, you see somebody with a company 15, 20. You know, so we had, we had a 25-year employee. He's passed on now, but I mean, that's unheard of now these days. You don't, you, we go, I mean, we go through people and everybody does nowadays. I mean, it's just like without even no notice, they're moved on, and there's just no loyalty anymore. And the bad thing is when they come back around nowadays, we hire them back. It didn't used to be that way.
And it costs you more money too.
It costs you more money. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I look at Jason. I look at what you got in the background. You got that beautiful floor.
Mhm.
It's a world difference in doing that than it is doing school or, what chop with drains and plumbing and electrical.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
So I look at people talk about finishing, but you got to be able to do that too, and you got to be able to do it well.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where you find out if you're a finisher, Steve.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's where you find out if you're a behind me. This is easy.
That's easy. Yeah.
That's easy.
That is
right?
that's great.
nothing. That's just process control and go get it.
Yeah.
Schools, gymnasium floors, high tolerance floors, all of the schools specifically, or the residential housing, right? The porcupine pours, I used to call them.
Yeah.
That's where you find out.
That's good.
That's where you find out if you're a finisher or not, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you, Steve. But that's the thing. That floor behind me, you meet guys that do that or are capable of doing these floors. They call themselves a finisher. I love it because that's just one of my favorite finishes, right? That's me all day long, and I love it.
Yeah.
But if that's all you can do, that's not finisher.
And
Yeah,
Jason, there's probably guys that helped you do that floor right there, and they've probably never been on a residential job and tool pointed, concrete and stamped and did some of the detail work, which they're a finisher, but that maybe they're not that. I mean that an all around finishers, in my opinion, has done all those things. I mean, I don't know what you'd even title that person, but there's definitely a difference in somebody that's, does curb work, finish walls, finish, I mean, there's so many different types of finishes, that really, I don't know. I think maybe there needs to be a way that we can
Differentiate the different.
differentiate. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what we need to do is get Steve's Concrete Hall of Fame put together. If you want to find out who the concrete finishers are, they'll be in that.
We're working
So
on
a lot of us,
Starting with Mr. Lloyd.
a lot of us that are in this group all started in middle market, right?
Yep.
There is a difference, and I know Jason specifically, Proctor, you understand this completely. There are warehouse slab finishers. There are industrial paving finishers. I mean, I came up doing a little bit of everything from ag work to warehouse work. And that exposure allowed us to develop those skills. Some of these guys aren't going to ever get the chance to to do it. I mean, unless they're pouring 2,000 linear foot of hand curb outside and then a slab inside the next day.
Without a curb machine. Specify that.
Oh yeah, hand curb. Hand curb.
Correct.
Yeah.
Real curb.
Real.
Real curb.
Well, you know, I think it's something else too. The best people I got are farmers.
Yeah.
And let me tell you about farming. And so you're here farming, you break down, you got to make it, you got to fix it, make it work. I mean,
Figure it out.
You can't,
Yeah,
you got to figure it out. So that's what my wife says. She said, you pick two of the hardest jobs, a farmer and a freaking concrete finisher, you know, but farming, I mean, man, you know, you just gotta, you gonna work hard for one and you got to figure it out how to get through it.
Definitely.
You know,
You mentioned curb, and I've seen guys talking to the group. I'm a curb guy, and they're running behind these curb machines. I'm like, that don't make you a curb guy. Right?
That's a curb finisher, Mike.
Oh, yeah,
Curb
there you
finisher.
go. Curb fit. Well, what's a finisher?
I remember when I ran. We used to do a lot of curb and gutter. I used to run a machine, and I remember the guys would send the foreman up and tell me to slow the machine down. And when it did, I'd speed it up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they want me to slow down. I wouldn't slow down. I'd speed it up. You know, but yeah, but I mean, finishing it's a lot of different types of finishing.
Yeah.
Like Zeb said, you talked about total stations. Well, I'm not in the finisher to that. I don't know how to do a total station. You know, I really don't know how to do that. I mean, I got guys that know how to do it. I'm kind of lost at that. My thing was finishing concrete. That's how I came up, you know, and
Yep.
just finishing concrete.
Mr. Proctor, did you have another question did we kind of get into that already?
No, that was it. That was the
Okay.
one that I knew was going to snowball into something. That's
Okay,
why I
good.
stopped.
Perfect.
Well, you know, on ACI certification, they do have certain types of certification. They've got high tolerance. You know, we've got high tolerance, super flats. We used to have, we still have different riders you can get to go along with your certification. You know,
Yeah, there's definitely different levels because there are different levels of finishers, right?
yeah.
I don't disagree with that. Different levels. Like I said, when I used to divide them up and I'd hire individuals and back to what Zeb was saying, I did the same thing, right? I'd give them a checklist. I'd let them tell me what they think they know. I'd observe for a couple of weeks to see if it's real or not, right? And most of the time you knew within a couple of days. And then, but the other part of it is that you could use that as a stepping stone to build them into, okay, if you want to be considered a finisher, if you want finisher's wage, all right, well, here's the list. Start checking them off, start learning them, grow into this, ask questions, figure out what's next. Because if you think you got it all, you're already out.
Yep. Here's another question we can kind of get into. I thought it was a pretty good one. I think everybody on the panel is finishers, right now. Yeah.
I don't know anymore. I don't know.
You don't even know
what
what
I'm saying. I think I'm going to disqualify myself.
Well, the question is, if you could have the attention right now of every ready mix supplier in the world right now, what would one thing you would want to say to them?
Oh, where's Sam?
Right. I noticed he dipped out. So
He left before he said that one.
Yep. Anybody want to give
That's
that?
a good
You
one
gotta
for
think on
Zach.
that for a minute.
Zach has got the most technical data to actually say this.
Zach's kind of
Get
caught in the
your
middle,
shit
though,
together.
isn't he? Zach's kind of caught in the middle of both worlds here. So.
I am. But
Question, Rocky. What would you say to the concrete plant if you could?
Yeah. Yep. Any ready mix plant. Yep.
they need to understand the impact of what their decisions and their efforts are having on not only the guys in the field, but durability of the products that we are forced to install. It has to, the liability, I think that we have found a path with a few of us on this panel to bring the liability back to their feet. And that is going to be the intention. We can't be the ones left holding the bag on something that we have absolutely no control over. And some of the issues we're seeing, the window is very narrow, and they are trying to hit a target that they have never had to hit before. So it's not with malice that I think anyone's going to come back and try to impose a little bit tighter quality control, but it's to protect everybody. It's to protect the industry at this point, so that these conversations can stop. And some of what Sam was alluding to is I was in Sam's office last year and basically stood up in front of a bunch of ready mix guys and said, you guys have to pay more attention unless you want to keep standing on driveways and having the same conversations over and over. So that would be my one thing is it's time we work as a team. If not, I think that on our side, we're well prepared enough to start making a difference. So
that's good. Who else wants to hop in on that? I'm sure you guys got something to say. You're the ready mix.
Well, I'll say something, Rocky.
Let's hear it.
I think the ready mix people need to educate their people. They need to educate the people of what they're trying to put in concrete. They don't have a clue what they're trying to put in. They don't have a clue how many ounces per hundredweight it takes to achieve what we're trying to achieve. They need, and I've told this to the ready mix people, they need to educate their people. If they're going to push all these chemicals, they need to be educated on them, of what it does to the final outcome.
When you say ready mix people, though, I mean, I think a lot of people that will be watching us here, they're thinking the concrete plant. But I think a lot of the, like when this stuff got switched over and really pushed on the ready mix plants, and I'm talking to the powers about the powers that be, not necessarily some of these plants, because they didn't know what was going on. What were they going to educate me about when they didn't know shit to begin with? You know, I think the powers that be, they're making these. There's somebody bigger out there controlling it, you know, and it was pushed on these plants, and these plants weren't aware of it. And the plants, should there have been education? Yeah, I mean, this whole rollout of I know we're going on 1L. The whole rollout 1L was mishandled, you know, and it really they shit on all the contractors and the finishers. And that's literally what happened.
I'm not even talking 1L right now. I'm talking 1-2.
Oh,
I think it goes back further than that.
Yeah, before.
Yeah,
They've got to know. A lot of times, Mike, you know, they'll tell the owner he needs to use this, and they don't really know because they've never had to deal with it. They just sell it, and they don't have to deal with what the finishers have to deal with.
They sell it for 2 or 3 years just because the chemical supplier told them to.
Exactly.
And then they figure out what happened to that over the winter or whatever. They don't know.
No, they do not. That's why I am not. I mean, now don't get me wrong. Chemicals have their place, but on the floor, I'm not a chemical guy, and chemical people really don't like me a lot because of that. But I can give you a good floor without all that stuff.
And that, you know, most of, you know, guys, what I've seen is they're selling you a product that you know, is going to make or break. It's not necessarily the finishability of it, but they're warranting, you know, what the PSI is going to be in it.
But it could be an 8,000 PSI on a 4,000 pound concrete, and that's horrible for a floor. That is absolutely horrible. But they have no consequences.
Mm-hmm. No, and
all they concerned.
In the contractor, we're taking. Go ahead.
As long as they get to 4,000, they're covered. If it should be a rule that, hey, if I order 4,000, why am I getting a 7 or 8,000?
Yeah, and that's the thing with the contractors taking 100% risk. I mean, every day, guys. I live in Oklahoma. We've got casinos all around us, and I tell people every day, I gamble every day. I step on the job site. I don't need to go to the casino. We are at 100% risk, and we're dealing with a product and the elements and everything else, you know, and so I think the best thing to do is to really build that relationship and that communication with your ready mix. I mean, daily we're talking to our ready mix plants. We work with several of them, and we're daily talking to them about what we're experiencing out in the field and give suggestions. And, you know, they'll listen, guy. I mean, that's the thing. They'll listen.
will.
They want the feedback. And if,
They
if
will.
they don't want the feedback, I'd recommend finding maybe another supplier, that will work with you.
They do, but I think they've been sold a bill of goods. They don't know, put this in it, put that in it, take the water out. That's the biggest thing. Let's get rid of all the water.
Right.
Well, that's
Hey.
we need to get rid of compressive strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Steve, I bet there's more. I bet there's probably more, especially exterior concrete around that your dad poured than there is that you've poured in the beginning of your career. That stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s is still hanging out.
Well,
and
I was thinking, I abuse concrete. I used to pour it wet and everything. But you know what? That concrete's still here.
right.
So did it really? It probably needed that water anyway.
Yep.
And they thought it was too wet, but it's still here.
Yeah.
It's like trying to take a Lamborghini and make it go faster. Do you really need to do that? We already have the Lamborghini.
That's good.
But that's what we've done with admixtures. I mean, yes, there's certain specific things that they need to be used for. They should be like the superpowers, but that's not what most guys need on an everyday basis.
And these decorative guys, I really feel for them. I mean, these decorative guys are, I really feel for them. I mean, I still do a little decorative every now and again and colored stuff and like that, but it's really tough for these guys, and they're not getting any help from anybody.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like you said, the contractor's 100% liable. So
yep.
And we're seeing.
Rocky, I got a question.
Let's hear it.
I want to hit something that we've had some people ask last few days. There's been a lot of talk about the water reducers out there, reducing the amount or whatever. There's been a lot of talk about water reducers. Is it about the dosage, or are there certain water reducers need to avoid or try to ask for? Can we just touch on water reducers a little bit? We need to lower the dosage, take it all out. Can we touch on that?
If
Zach,
Sam were here,
there
he
you
would
go.
say polycarboxylates. Don't use a water reducer unless it's a polycarboxylate. So that's Sam's piece. My piece is you have to test. You have to do some testing, which we're doing. We're pulling some water reducer out, and then we have pulled some samples and broke some cylinders and things like that for ourselves. It's performing the way we want to see. As far as laying it down and finishing it, it's been going very well. So I think to just broadcast the net and say, yeah, pull it all out could be dangerous. But work with your ready mix supplier, let them know what you want to do, show them why. And there might be a little bit of a cost associated, but it's still not going to be what it costs to tear out one slab. If you pay for a round of cylinders to get broke, it's still going to be a fraction of the cost to tear out a driveway. So if you really want to find a solution, you got to be part of the solution. And taking what we've said, trying to get your water cement ratio up, inevitably your water reducers will go down because of that. So work on it. And I think that's the best bet, because there is so many material differences across the country that it's really hard to pinpoint one specific answer.
Did you say you like polycarboxylates?
Well, that's what the preferred water reducer would be, right? That's the newest technology. But
at one time we had problems with that producing air,
right? And I think that it sounds like they've gotten all that under control.
I haven't heard a lot of horror stories lately, but when it first came out, it was pretty bad.
It's better, but there's also a recommendation that most of the guys are following is less than 4 ounces per hundredweight, and you shouldn't ever need more than that if you're putting all your water in the mix anyway. So there's some give and take there. I just had a argument / discussion with a ready mix the other day. I said, I see what you're holding, blah 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 blah. Put the water back in. Well, you'll have a 10-inch slump if we put all the water back in.
We'll take the water reduce out.
No, you got to take some chemical out of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, It's that simple. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. It
And
seems.
when you go to basics of design, when you build a mixed design, if you take all the water reducer out, you're going to be between a 2 and 4 inch slump of just water.
Mhm.
So you're not asking a whole lot. The strength should still be there. To get down to 2.5 ounces, 100 weight is not. You're not asking a lot.
No.
All right. That pretty much wraps that one up, Mike, I think, right? Or I mean, we could dive back into it again, but
I'm good with that. I got one more.
Yeah.
Allow me to ask one more question. Robert Carter actually asked 3 questions, but I'm just going to hit one. He had and talked about the 6 mil poly underneath the slabs for exterior in freeze-thaw conditions. Does that hurt like unvented pan decks on balconies or parking garages? Does using the 6 mil poly under for exterior, is that going to hurt?
This is a super deep question, and Robert and I have actually talked. We spent an hour and a half on the phone one day.
If you talk in person, because I don't know how many people, if you want to do a quick wrap up of what you said,
we did. So we're trying to fight the surface evaporation. That's where the recommendation for the poly under exterior work came from. Give the water somewhere to go vertically. However, what we're seeing with plastic permeability and how small the area for water to bleed is, you also then risk a late bleed. And he does a lot of coatings and things like that. And with Sam and I's work with another organization, what we're seeing is that late bleed also leads to higher relative humidity in the slab for a longer period of time. So people are sealing early, people are putting toppings on early, and all of those are creating issues. So it is about retaining the moisture, but it's also then about finding a balance on the backside.
Sure. Now on the flip side, if there's no toppings or coatings, that late bleed or that moisture retained would be a good thing for curing, right? Or no?
Well, what we're seeing is it's not aggregate moisture. A lot of times underhydrated mixes are pulling that out. So it's actually just bleed that had been trapped by the surface shrinkage. So allowing that time to get out, and then that's where people start talking with your LSs, your lithium silicates and things like that, to help reinforce that surface. So if there is any of that, you avoid delamination and things like that.
So you should have just added more water to the mix to start with.
Correct. If you keep the top hydrated, it decreases the risk of that surface evaporation.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Did he have any more, Mike? I know there was one. Zach just topped on the silicates. I think didn't he have a question about some of the.
He did. Yeah, he talked about silane versus siloxanes and freeze-thaw conditions with type 1L.
Yeah, siloxane versus what? The silane, is that what he?
Yes, silane versus siloxanes and freeze-thaw conditions. Could we touch on that?
Okay. Anybody want to tackle that?
Zach, have you already talked to him about it?
No, cures and sealers aren't necessarily my big thing. Understanding the concept behind them all, trying to leave the surface pores open, until you ensure that the moisture has fully outgassed, would be my personal recommendation, regardless of what type of material it is.
We need Mr. Weiss here right now for some of this.
Yep.
Yep.
My answer would have been the same as what Zach was just said.
Yeah.
So.
Right on. So that's what you got from the questions there, Mike, right?
Yes.
So we're kind of rounding down on the last few minutes here, last 20 minutes or so, but I want to get into what would be probably my favorite question. And we kind of talked about this pre-cast here. So, and it's what's your why? Why do you do this? I know Zeb had said this. You got to have a why, and he asks all his guys this, and it's so true. You can't show up and do this day in and day out without a why. And if it's just money, that's not a very powerful why, because you'll be gone tomorrow doing something else or somewhere else. So let's get into it, guys. Let's talk about your why. Why are we in this? Let's start with you, Zeb, because you kind of originated this question. So,
Sure.
Yep.
Well, just like Mike said earlier, he said, most people get into it in the beginning because for the money, they need a paycheck, they need a job.
Mhm.
But that's not going to keep you in this kind of work. This work is definitely not for everybody. It takes it takes a special person to do this kind of work, or somebody that just, I don't know, maybe you got to be a little bit halfway crazy, or there's got to be something about it that, that keeps you in this. And, I look at it personally, my why. I tell you what I love about this work, this industry is I love creation. I love, you know, showing up, there's nothing there, and we create something from nothing, and the reward of when you walk away from a job site and you were a part of that, and you physically put your blood, sweat, and tears, and you put 100% into that, and that's, it's so rewarding. This job is so rewarding. I look at so many jobs we drive by, and I look at things, I worked with my dad as a young kid, and they're still there. And it's something I just am so proud of, and so to me, I look at those kind of things as the reward I get from this work, doing hands-on and being involved in every step of it. And, and the other thing is my why also is, my family.
Hmm.
I do this, sometimes guys, this can kind of become our identity, especially, if you're an owner operator, like a lot of us here on this becomes who you are, what you're known for. And you're putting your name on. I mean, the name of my company is, on it. I take a lot of pride in this work we do. And I do it for my family. I do it, to even, to give back to, kingdom minded. I even look at, God's put me and he's given me these gifts for a reason, and I want to be able to glorify him. I want to be able to, I don't want to take the credit, he's given me that ability to do it. And I want to use, I want to be able to be a servant and be able to give back. And, this is a great avenue to be able to provide financially to do some great things, for the kingdom. So if you look at it, I look at it in a different. I got a lot of different whys, but
Sure.
I just really, I think for me, it's really, I'm reward driven. I'm looking for, the satisfaction, that what we produce and what we do, and that's, to me, that's some of my whys.
I love it. Mr. Proctor, what's your why, my friend?
Well, I'm with Zeb. I think there's multiple, right? The egotistical side of all of us is that we get to do something that somebody else can't do, and that's one of the whys, right? Somebody
Yeah.
told me at one point in my life, "Oh, you're never going to make it doing that."
Sure.
Yeah, here, hold my beer, right?
Yeah.
But the other one is I'm a lot like Zeb. Like I really enjoy, I've covered some ground now, right? And I really enjoy, not as much as my kids loathe, but I really enjoy driving around going, oh, I did that. Oh, I
Yeah.
did that. Oh, I was on that. Oh, I did this. I mean, you cover the northern states, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, you can't drive an hour and not see something I was part of, and now down here in Kansas, Nebraska, it's the same thing, right?
Mm.
So you make your dent, and again, another why, same as Zeb, God gave us these gifts. He gave us a gift that others don't have,
Mm.
right? Some of us are better at some things than others, but the realistic side of it is he gave us all a gift to work with our hands and our minds and our bodies, and we haven't squandered it, right? We ran our entire lives trying to do God's will, if you will.
I love it.
And it's super fulfilling to show up and walk away from 5,000 to 55,000 square feet, and your name's on it and you're proud of it. And I can make people sick with how many pictures I have on my phone of the things that I've done, right?
Sure.
Because I'm so proud of them.
Hmm.
Not that I did them myself. I'm just like the same thing Steve said, right? It takes a team, and my team have done a lot of great things.
Hmm.
So that's my why.
It's just like Zach said. you need to be proud of. If you ain't taking pictures of it, you ain't proud of it. So, yep.
And that was one of my things for when I hired guys. I'd say, all right, show me a picture of your favorite pour, especially the guys that had 5, 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many guys couldn't show me a picture?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Like, really? You're not proud of what you're doing? Okay.
Exactly.
Well,
yep.
I know where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. West, what's your why, buddy?
Man, mine's evolved numerous times throughout my career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not your typical concrete guy physically. I didn't fit the mold. And I found out, probably a year in, that there was bets taken on whether or not I'd make it. I wrestled my whole entire life, so I'm just dumb enough to take that as a challenge.
Yeah.
But, and then, like Jason said, I went on the road for a while. I've written my kids' names and footings in probably 11 states now and taken a picture of it in hopes to one day, make a scrapbook. So it initially started to provide. And I guess coming full circle, it's to provide. However, I'm not looking necessarily to provide for myself or my family at this point. I want to provide to the industry and to those people that have helped me along the way also. I've got a group of guys that have been around for 10 years now, through a couple different companies that just keep hanging out. And I have a commitment to them to make sure that they get to where they want to go too. So I guess my why isn't as much of a why anymore. It's a how. I know what I want to do. Like Zeb said, I lived life in my plan for a long time. And now I've realized that concrete is actually part of my purpose. So that is why I do what I do now.
I love it. All right. So we talk about your why kind of evolving. We know the next year, Mr. Steve Lloyd, we know your why has evolved. You've talked about your why recently being part of the 1L thing. And that's kind of one of your whys to keep going today. But what started it all? What was your why way back when?
It's the challenge. It's a challenge. I'm a real competitive guy, and I'm not gonna let that concrete kick my butt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the challenge of going out here, and it's the satisfaction of going by the local skate park and telling my grandkids, yeah, we poured that, or going to this NASA, to the Space Center, and saying, hey, yeah, we poured that too. But it doesn't matter. It's the challenge. Every single day is a different day, and it makes me tick. I still get, even with big pours coming up, I still get the butterflies. It's like coaching football. I mean, I still get that feeling. I'm 75 now, and I don't really have any intentions of stepping out. I physically can't do as much as I used to, but learning and trying to teach guys and save people from having to rip out slabs of this and other. But it's just the challenge of concrete. I mean, about the time I think I have it figured out, I'll figure out how much I really don't know, because when you think you got it figured out, you don't have it figured out.
Yep.
Yeah. Every day is a different day. I just like the challenge of concrete. It's not for everybody.
No, 100%.
Yep.
Mr. Beachy, what is your why, my friend?
I would be lying if I said I knew exactly what it was at this point.
Sure.
I feel like that's going to evolve many times. As like Zach said, I would dare say a few things about the panel is we all started it. And I know I did. I started working because if I didn't get out of bed in the morning, my dad would have been coming up in the room doing something to me or dumping water on me or something, right? We had to go to work. It doesn't matter. We were going to go to work, do something. So we all just started out working, I feel like, on this panel.
Yeah.
And then our whys have been evolving as, because you figure, well, and then as I started doing it, I started getting hooked to the adrenaline that comes with
Yeah.
controlling a pour. There's so many things that you either control it or it controls you. And so I feel like we're all adrenaline junkies too.
Mhm.
And I've had other jobs too where you had to push yourself to keep busy all day, and the clock just came to a complete stop, it seemed
Yeah.
like.
Yep.
Where here, and you pour concrete, your day is gone before you look up, the day is gone.
Hmm.
And so I feel like I got addicted to that. But now I'm starting to make plans. How can I give back? Because to be sustainable, there has to be a big there has to be a real why.
Hmm.
So I've always liked to be a teacher, but I knew teaching in school would never work out for me. I have too many plans in my life. I just didn't think teaching would be it in school. But maybe I can do that in the concrete business as time goes on, and I can give back like that. So that's a why that's coming for me right now. But I don't feel like I'm there yet, right? I have a lot to learn. So my why keeps changing. But I mean, we all just started this because you got to work,
Yeah.
you know? It's just you get out of bed and work. It doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or not.
Yep.
I know you guys were from the older generation. I'm not from an old generation, but I came up in a family like that. When I was 10 years old, I got up at 4:30 in the morning to milk the cows every day. You know, there was no sleep until 7 and then going to school.
Yeah.
There you go, Jason. That's what I'm talking about.
You know, Jason, you've been good at coming in with different perspectives, and I'll give one kind of to you from my perspective. And you know, you said you got to go to work, but for me, growing up, it was fun. My dad would let me skip school to go to work with him, and hanging out with the guys on the job site, and hearing the cussing and the, you know, just being a man as a little elementary kid. And it became something that was, if I did good in school, I got to go to work with Dad. So it was almost a reward, and I always I carried that along throughout my career. So if I got to pour concrete, it was like, me and my old man hanging out today, I got to skip school. So, you know, it was kind of something that for me, it was, you know, and it's just been a love ever since. So it's just a little bit, you know, alternative view. But I want to ask you, Mike Griffin, what is your why when you were doing it? But I want to ask this kind of twofold here. What is your why for maintaining this group the way that you do? Nobody knows the hours that you put into this thing. So you've carried on what you've done in the concrete industry, and you've made this group the same way. So what's your why with both of those?
All right, I'll start with why I started. I started, well, number one, I think somebody said you're kind of born into this. I was born into it. I'm fourth generation. So my why's, it was money to start with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a screw up, man. I mean, I was going nowhere fast. And, you know, my mom was the one who said, you know, go to work and stuff like that. And, you know, so I ended up going to work, and I'm like, oh my, I'm going to backtrack. I talked to my brother. I had three brothers who finished as well. And I talked to my brother. He was like, I was doing nothing, sitting around doing whatever, you know. And I'm like, what do you do for a living? I didn't even know he worked for my dad. And I'm like, hey, you know, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I work for Dad. I'm like, really? I didn't know that. You know, I'm like, what do you make? And he tells me, I'm like, oh my eyes had to go that big. I was like, are you kidding me? Dad pays this much money. And I'm like, holy shit. So then I approached my mom, and eventually I got into it for the money. I mean, that's what kept me around. There was no why. It was the money.
Sure.
I'll touch on Zach. I also wrestle. I wrestled through high school. I wrestled college a little bit. And so now the why comes, why were you doing it? Because I like the challenge, Steve mentioned, but I also like the fight. I like the sweat. I mean, that's the shit. I was eating this stuff up, man. I could fight every day. I was used to wrestling and doing this. So I really love that stuff. And that's why I started doing it. And I evolved over my career. I mean, I was real rough. But I started trying to help out and teach. I talked about the importance of elevating people around you. And when you do that, it makes your job easier too. So let's be real about that. But that's why, you know, and Rocky, you know, I retired a few years ago.
Yeah.
I was pretty fortunate, smart enough to, my body was giving out.
Yeah.
Between everything I've done. But really, the time I put in the group. Now my why, I want to stay involved in the concrete industry, and I'll touch on Steve too. Coaching. Well, I coached for baseball and softball for, oh my God, probably 15 years of each. So I like coaching and I like helping people. I've had kids I used to coach. They'll come back to me and talk to me. And so really it's kind of the whole life thing involved. Once this group started, I was like, man, I like this. You want to help people. We can shoot ideas off each other. This one's still working. But now my why is I like being part of a platform that's helping elevate people. I can't answer every question. So many smart people out there, way smarter than me, but it's nice to help with a platform that's helping people. And, I just like being involved, and if it's something I believe in, just like everything I've done in my life, if I believe in something, then there's talkers and doers. I'll do it.
Definitely.
So anyway, that's it. I mean, this.
Sure.
That's
Well,
it.
we definitely appreciate you around here, man, and you keep it ticking. So,
Yeah.
guys, is there anything anybody wants to throw in here before we sign off tonight? This has been really fun. I've enjoyed this. This is kind of the free flow of it. So.
Hey, we talked about earlier, largest pour.
Oh yeah. Let's do that. So let's kind of
just go to Steve. Just say.
go to
well,
Steve.
I was gonna
Come on,
save him.
guys.
I was gonna
Waste
save
any
him.
time anywhere else.
I was gonna save Steve for last. Okay.
I can't even answer this question. I'm all small pours.
Yeah, I'm at 1100. Zeb.
1,600 yards.
Okay.
And
Jason.
it was on a like a water treatment plant, and then we've done some, 1,100 yard floor pours, stuff like that. But nothing compared to Steve. Yeah, I don't think we're going to match that.
Uh-huh.
No.
Jason. Proctor?
2,800.
Okay. Zach.
16 intermodal facility.
Okay. Jason Beachy.
2,500 yards of paving was the most we did,
Okay.
and the laser screed broke down that day, and we actually had 120 yards backed up on the job.
Okay.
And we got it down.
Wow.
Sorry,
That's
21 trucks, 210 yards down in your neighborhood, Rocky.
Oh, really?
210 yards backed up on the job.
What was the problem?
And then what's that?
What was the problem? They were backed up.
The laser screed broke down.
Oh man.
But then last year we did a 3,700 yard mat foundation pour.
Okay. All right. And I don't even think we need to ask. Steve, what's your biggest, my friend?
Well, the biggest floor pour I ever did was 7,000 yards. The biggest mat pour I ever did was 10,000 yards in like 18 hours. We did one that was 9,000 for, I think Wrinkle Concrete bought the concrete. Beers was a contractor. We did one in Jacksonville, Florida. It was 9,000 cubic yards. The next weekend we went to Tampa and did 10,000 cubic yards.
Man, you guys are savages. Jeez.
You hear that?
You're the reason
was
for
a
the
weekend.
carbon footprint. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Everyone else, all Steve's fault.
Yeah.
But Steve's doing it on the weekend, he said.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, there you have it, guys. There's some of the experience that you're dealing with, and we've been talking about this 1L stuff. So you know that it's true. These guys have been in the mud. 9,000 cubic yards worth. Jeez. All right, guys, this has been fun. I really appreciate you guys tuning in here again tonight. I appreciate all you guys on the panel. It's been fun. I really enjoy doing these and just chatting with you guys and just talking concrete. That's what this page is about. So we'll continue to do it as long as you guys keep tuning in. So we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.